The Dayton City Commission meeting will now come to order. Would you all please rise for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance? This evening will be given by Commissioner Fairchild.
O gracious one, today as we begin anew, guide us as we proceed with this important work. Help us take stock of the past year and the last term. Help us to extend those things that we did well. Help us to set aside those that we did not. Set us on a course for success. Guide our new commissioner and our new mayor. May they lead with courage, confidence, and humility. Support our city manager and all of our employees. Encourage them as they serve our neighbors. May they be seen and valued. Pour your Spirit upon us. Impart your wisdom to us so that we may be good stewards of these responsibilities that have been entrusted to us. Amen.
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 I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. McClendon, may we please have the roll call?
Mayor Turner-Sloss.
Aye.
Commissioners Joseph.
Aye.
Shaw.
Aye.
Fairchild.
Aye.
Beckham.
Aye.
May I have a motion to approve the minutes for the December 31st, 2025 meeting?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second the motion, Your Honor.
It has been properly moved and second to approve the minutes from December 31st, 2025. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of the January 5th, 2026 special meeting?
So moved, Your Honor. Second.
It has been properly moved and second to approve the minutes of the January 5th, 2026 special meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Ms. McClendon, are there any special communications or petitions?
There are none, Your Honor.
For today's presentation, we have a monthly demolition update, and I call to the podium Mr. Steve Gondel.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager, Ms. McClendon. All right,
Good evening.
Good evening.
I will wait for the slides to come on here. All right, thank you for having me. I want to note tonight's presentation actually is for the November 2025 numbers. We moved this from it would have been last week, so you will see me twice this month. I'll be here for the November numbers tonight, and then as we're finalizing the December numbers, I'll be here at the end of the month doing the December closeout as well as the full year closeout and year to date, or program to date update at that meeting. So tonight we're going to focus just on the November work by our team with the Dayton Recovery Plan demolition monthly update. So last month, in November, we had 18 structures removed. 14 of those were routine removals. 4 of those were piles. All of those were funded under the ARPA funding. So to date, in 2025, we've had 264 properties removed, with the bulk of that being the ARPA funding. As I noted, we ended October with 31 piles. We removed 4 of those in November. Fortunately, we had none added in November, so we ended the month with 27 piles. And just a reminder for myself, again, on the map, we had nothing on the emergency side. When we look at the 18 properties that were removed, the bulk of those were in the Southern Dayton View neighborhood, and also in the kind of the west and northwest neighborhoods. To date, again, you'll see our work has touched most corners of the city, both through ARPA, ODOD, CDBG, and some general fund removals. Our structures added to the structural nuisance list in 2025. In November, we had 14 properties that were added. 11 of those were houses. One was a commercial property, which was specifically 2060 Gettysburg. One was an apartment building, which was specifically 1330 Xenia. One was a garage. 9 of those 14 properties were due to blight or deterioration. 5 were due to fire. To date, in 2025, or through the end of November, we had 103 properties that were added to that structural nuisance list in 2025. Our pipeline is slowing down. Most of the work has already been accomplished, but we did have 10 properties that we had completed the asbestos survey, which will, again, lead to additional removals in the coming, in December and or January. And our before and afters. First off, we have 1253 Rosedale, and 927 Rosedale. So again, in that southern Dayton View area, they're targeting some of these routine blight removals. 2310 West 2nd Street, and I apologize. We had this is the first and will be the last where the after picture had some writing on it. It was just as a marker, but 2310 West 2nd and 1623 McCall were routine demolitions. And then moving into our fire pile contract, 125 Brooklyn, 648 Graymont. 648 Graymont, you might recall, the resident next door had come to commission seeking help, concern about the closeness. That was something where we moved some things around. And I know it may have seemed like forever for her, but we really try to move that up to address that concern that she had about it being so close to her property, but we got that removed as well. And then 1254 Vernon and 1224 Windsor were additional piles that we have removed under that fire pile contract. And so with that, again, I think a reasonably productive month in November. Excited to come back later with the December and kind of year-end accounting for everything. But on that note, I will take any comments you and the commission may have.
Thank you, Mr. Gondo. Commissioners, do you have any questions or comments?
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, thank you, staff, Mr. Gondo, for the presentation. Always excited to see these nuisance properties continue to come down. Just curious, the situation where it seems like fire pile was expedited. I mean, I'm just wondering, what are the normal circumstances in which a fire pile does get moved up in the normal process of things?
So it's always around funding and getting it on the, sometimes, with the piles contracts, not much changes. So when we have a house is a little bit easier because sometimes there might be an owner may step forward and remove and offer to, either demolish it themselves or rehab it. Piles are pretty much, rarely does anybody come forward. And so that is our hardest one to really crack, is that list has been set. We've been trying to get to those piles that either have been there the longest, that are either close proximity to a potential concern around like schools or kids or stuff like that. And so that's the hardest one. That's why I said I felt bad for the woman who lived by Graymont, because there were piles before her, and I know those neighbors also cared. And so we were just trying to be creative and move money around with the contracts, either trying to add more or add properties. And so that remains probably our hardest part. The piles are the hardest because those we will have to, follow the EPA guidelines around the notification, wrapping of the containers, and we're limited because a lot of times there is only a small amount of that can go to a local landfill. The bulk of that has to go to the Columbus landfill. So that also sometimes impacts how many we can do either in the course of a day, week, or month. And so a number of factors. So piles is why I really bemoan them, because there's so many factors that limit our ability to really address that in an accelerated way.
Thank you. That's all for me.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Fairchild?
No, thank you for the report. I always appreciate it. And congratulations on no fire piles being added.
Thank you.
That number's getting close, right? It's dwindling more and more, so that's awesome.
Correct.
Thank you for that work, and thank you for the staff.
All right, thank you.
My thanks also. I really don't have any comments, but this is really good news. I mean, we're moving in the right direction. Keep it up.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd just like to echo my colleagues' comments. Since we've started doing these regularly, it's been gratifying to see the numbers get better. And we really appreciate you all's work because I know it's a tough problem. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gondo, and the entire team. Thank you for all of your great work. And again, hopefully you will not have any additional PALs that will be added for the remainder of this month.
I hope it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. McClendon, are there any additions, deletions, or comments to the calendar?
There are none, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Dixteen, are there any additions, deletions, or comments to the calendar?
Your Honor, I have no additions or deletions to this evening's calendar. I do have a few items I would like to highlight. One is a service agreement with Ultimate Inc. That's a contract modification. This is an extension of the professional services agreement for traffic safety enforcement system, which are our cameras that are specifically located in school zones. This extension will allow us to continue to, one, keep working towards collections of those late payers that we always have, so there's always a tail, and it also enables us to get completely set up for the new vendor that was selected last year through an RFP process, Elevate, and because they have to come in with all of their equipment and get everything set up, again, largely focusing on school zones. This contract has $4.8 million in revenue to the city and about $1.2 million in expenses that will be paid to Ultimate. Item number E, or letter E4, is the Flock Group, Inc. This is a grant-funded expansion for fixed automated license plate readers that will be placed in 5 different neighborhoods. Those neighborhoods are Twin Towers, Burkhart, Miami Chapel, Residence Park, and Red Crest. In accordance with our surveillance, our technology surveillance ordinance, the police have been working with the neighborhoods, creating and developing safety plans. So they all have the required safety plans, and there were public meetings held from August to October, 9 public meetings, to make sure that this was socialized amongst the neighborhood prior to moving forward with implementing and adding these flock cameras for those neighborhoods. So we're excited to be partnering with the neighborhoods on that. And then finally, just as a clarification, item number 5, which is development agreement with the On-Main Development Project. This is just the debt proceeds, making sure that our bond funding that was part of the original $7.8 million is positioned. And so it's not new funding to the project, it's just the funding, the financing tool coming through. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Dixteen. Ms. McClendon, are there any citizens registered to speak this evening?
Your Honor, there are 8 citizens registered to speak on calendar items. I would like to state that there is a 3-minute time limit. As you address the commission, we ask that you state your name and address for the record. At that time, I will turn on a green light. When the green light comes on, you will have 3 minutes to speak. After you have spoken 2.5 minutes, a yellow light will come on, and you will have 30 seconds remaining to speak. When the red light comes on, you will be asked to cease your comments and to take your seat. To the audience in attendance, please be mindful this is a business meeting, and we kindly request that during this portion of the meeting, you refrain from any hand clapping, finger snapping, and conversation that would prevent the City Commission from hearing the speaker's comments. I call to the podium Regina Holman.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Commissioners. You want me to say my name first?
Yes, ma'am.
Regina Holman, 120 West 3rd Street, Dayton, Ohio, 45402.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, Ms. Dixteen, and the rest of those on the dais. My name is Regina Holman, and I am the Director of Community Outreach for Congressman Mike Turner. It's amazing what we can do when we have the right people at the table. For 60-plus days, a group of elected officials from the city, county, and state, along with law enforcement, education, and the business community, have worked together to provide recommendations on how we can improve and strengthen downtown Dayton. With your help, we believe that these recommendations will address growing concerns that include social services, police presence, and enforcement. Today, I represent the entire Downtown Dayton Working Group in thanking the Dayton City Commission for your consideration and your willingness to move forward with this resolution. We look forward to continuing this work for you in downtown Dayton. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Holman.
I call to the podium Spencer Glazier.
Hello, Spencer Glazer, 1305 Carlisle Avenue, Dayton, Ohio. I'm mostly here to just speak in disapproval of flock cameras in general and of the money we are also spending towards Allumint Inc. I don't view flock as an effective tool for our police departments and the risk that it poses to a lot of marginalized communities, specifically in the era of ICE, I feel like is a big detriment. There's been numerous instances. You can just go onto the ACLU's website. They have a big article about flock cameras and their effect on communities. Police departments, unfortunately, individuals, I should say, within police departments have used it to stalk, harass, and endanger the lives of their exes and other people. I think it just gives carte blanche to anybody who has access to the information to get up to no good. And spending another $88,000 to spread these across the city of Dayton, I feel like is only putting more and more people at risk. So that's the big thing I want to say. I also want to speak in support of where other people will be coming up and speaking about Venezuela and how we need to, as a city who's been so involved with peace in the past, we really need to make a stand that we can't get into another forever war, this time in Latin America as opposed to in the Middle East. But yeah, so I turn over the rest of my time. Thank you.
Mr. Glazer.
Thank you.
I call to the podium Caroline Dickey.
My name is Caroline Dickey. I am actually from Centerville, 45459, and as a part of the greater Dayton area, I'm happy to be able to come here tonight. Thank you all very much for letting me be here. I am also speaking against adding more to the flock camera system. When you go to their website, they do have an extensive list of myths that they debunk, especially things like facial recognition, which they do not do. However, their system can be and has been linked to other databases, which include driver's license, cameras, pictures, addresses, and other information. As was already mentioned, this is being currently used by ICE. As the label of domestic terrorism is being expanded to include speaking out against whatever political position happens to be in the forefront, this is going to become an extensive network of surveillance, not just to aid the police. It does aid the police, but it's going to become a bigger problem in the future. And to extend that as a part of our free city is rather unnerving. It affects us even in Centerville because these cameras go further than just the borders of Dayton proper. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
I call to the podium Joseph Abrams.
Hi, Joseph Abrams, 117 Park Drive. So you know, we need guardrails on law enforcement. And so I just want to say I'm deeply opposed, as a lot of people have been all along the way every time we've introduced the concept of these flock cameras. I realize that's grant funding, so it's not necessarily taking funding away from somewhere else. But no matter what kind of rules and regulations we try to make internally as far as how we're going to use these flock services, that is a third-party company, and we can't control them, and they do cooperate with ICE. And ICE is completely out of control. As we just saw, without protections, somebody can just be shot on the street, like in Minneapolis today. And frankly, like, we've seen way too many protections taken away from law enforcement here in town, or blocked, like the blocking the use of force thing a few years ago. So in addition to being opposed to flock, where has Mike Turner been to just suddenly appear here in town with this Safety Security Commission and expect the city to just go ahead and abide by whatever they've decided here in private? Like, because the idea of a crime epidemic downtown is laughable. Like, yeah, there's not a lot of people downtown, and there is crime downtown. Has anyone here been to a city? Things happen. The difference is here, you know, you build these big hotels because that's been our development plan, and celebrities can come into town and stay for a day, like minor ones, and remark about how there's not much going on. When there's not much going on, the indigent person asking for money is very striking. The kids with nothing to do run around really stands out. But, like, you know, as one of my neighbors said at one of the community meetings we went to over the summer, like, she can take the free bus that we have, that's a great service, from South Park to downtown with her kids on a Saturday, but there's just not a lot to do with her family. And, you know, it took a long time to build the city up to what it used to be, and then it sat blighted for a long time. You're not just going to pour $300 million into it and fix it overnight, and to just blame it on generic crime, which is racist and ageist, and specifically to have it come from Mike Turner and Phil Plummer, among everybody else on this commission, but to see those two in general, because that's who's created the problem we've had. All those people have delivered, Mike in the Congress and nationally, and Plummer in the House here, or in the legislature here in Ohio, is blight and insecurity, and exactly the problems that we're combating here, stripping our schools of funding, making sure that kids don't have what they need. And Mr. Beckham, you're a bigger man than me that you can be in a room like that calmly with a piece of criminal trash like Phil Plummer. You know what's dangerous downtown is the jail, and that's the man that defended torture in that jail. When I knew you were on that commission, it's like, wow, how do you stay calm around that? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Abrams.
I call to the podium Ebony Hastings.
Ebony Hastings, 123 Wabash Avenue, Dayton, Ohio, 45405. Good evening. First, as much as I can appreciate your efforts with Mike Turner, county leaders and the public safety community, Mike Turner has been in Congress for 23 years, and despite local pressure, he avoids town hall meetings, question and answers with the local media, with the local public, the citizens that he's supposed to represent. He's influenced decisions here, yet many of us see limited direct accountability to the people who live in Dayton. I'm asking you to exercise your independent leadership, not to be swayed by outside pressures or personalities, especially when those voices haven't earned the day-to-day trust of our neighbors. His choices with NATO visits downtown also diverted funds that could have gone to long-term needs in Dayton. And then the article that was published in regards to the $223,000 annually, bringing total maintenance to $400K per year. I'm not anti-public safety, but this appears to be a push downtown-centric security model that diverts attention from root causes driving crime citywide. The data shows in 2024, violent gun crime was concentrated in the west, northwest, with downtown accounting for only about 3% of the injuries. If we pour resources into downtown to strengthen and protect that area, we risk a two-tier safety model. Downtown gets protection while other neighborhoods face persistent challenges with fewer resources. I welcome the violence interruption program as a step recognizing crime as a public health issue, but the current budget isn't enough to meet the city's needs. We also know that people who approve the funding can push back against the awarded organization's ideas, effectively making them part of the problem. The dynamic undermines public trust and slows progress on the root causes. What I'm asking you to do, publicly commit and fund a comprehensive citywide safety strategy that foregrounds prevention, housing stability, mental health, addiction services, education, and economic opportunity, as well as neighborhood-based policing, emphasizing de-escalation and community trust. I'm encouraged by Mayor Turner-Sloss's emphasis on prevention, housing stability, and behavioral health access. I ask you to turn those words into action by ensuring the violence interruption program is comprehensively funded as a permanent city line item with transparent metrics and neighborhood input. Thank you. I'll be back.
Thank you, Ms. Hasty.
I call to the podium Joyce Probst McAlpine.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Commissioners. Thank you for giving me a chance to speak. My name is Joyce Probst McAlpine. I live at 326 Park Drive, Dayton, Ohio 45410. And I'm here to speak about the flock contracts and actually all of the flock cameras. As you're considering adding new license plate reader cameras, I want to speak about the concerns about the data collected by the cameras. Flock's business model is to license that data to other entities, and we know that in other cities, the U.S. Immigration, Customs and Enforcement, or ICE, has bought access to Flock data and used it to target immigrants for detention. Dayton heard from residents about data concerns when the main contract was executed in 2023, and they changed Flock's standard data use language, or you changed Flock's standard data use language to be more restrictive, following best practices from data privacy experts. But as ICE activities expand, there's a concern that somehow the restrictions in the contract that you have could be worked around, maybe through the work of a task force or revisions to the hot lists or some other loophole that Flock can find to sell more data to their customers. So I'm asking that as the right to privacy and travel is given up for our citizens and our neighbors as they move through Dayton and 16 other jurisdictions in Montgomery County, that we think about what's happening with that data and ensure that it isn't being used to target vulnerable neighbors like immigrants or potentially other people where we know that they're trying to collect lists of people that are considered vulnerable. Well, we would call them vulnerable. They might not call them something else. And ensure that we're not creating a situation where the data from our city is being used to target citizens. So I'm here to request that you conduct an audit of the use of the data collected from cars traveling through data to ensure that it isn't being used for purposes and other what is allowed in your contract. And this problem does go beyond Dayton because there's 17 law enforcement organizations in Montgomery County that have contracts with ICE, or with Flock rather. So that means that, you leave Dayton, go to Kettering, you get picked up. So this is a much bigger problem. And other communities have looked at this and they've decided that this data security issue is not worth it and they're canceling their Flock contracts. I hope that we would get to that discussion and consider canceling them because this risk is too great. Thank you.
Thank you.
I call to the podium Mallory Fowler.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mallory Fowler of 3720 East Patterson Road, and I work with nonprofit technical support and social media development. I'm speaking today about my concern on the potentiality of non-Dayton Police Department forces, such as ICE, accessing private citizen movements with Flock cameras. This is a dangerous potentiality leading to a gross infringement of civil rights and liberties for all. We have seen from reports across the nation that ICE has repeatedly accessed and hacked city cameras and flock-adjacent systems without the due process necessary of going through city officials and organizations. The core principle of innocent until proven guilty means that officers and other government agencies do not have the right to spy on its citizens without just probable cause which cannot be established on footage alone. This means that untold amounts of citizen data could be collected, regardless of current policy and without probable cause. With the recent information that the Dayton PD wishes to expand flock and similar systems, it is imperative that Dayton citizens and the City Commission proceed with great caution if it chooses to approve the motion. We have all learned in recent decades of the potential risks of over-surveillance, such as the revelation from NASA espionage on our fellow Americans, and I wish to express my deep concern and caution against repeating the rhymes and unlearned lessons of our own recent history. While our police and law enforcement agencies are undoubtedly run by honorable and conscientious men and women, the potentials for infringement on human liberties, however unintentional, must be carefully reviewed and diligently safeguarded. In the contemporary climate of federal distrust of its own citizens and ever-advancing technology, the speed of which such systems can be utilized for legally dubious reasons is alarming. I humbly ask, for the sake of all Daytonians and guests of our great city, that the Commission vote against expansion of flock and similar systems of camera surveillance so that further transparency may be ascertained on behalf of the citizens of Dayton. Thank you.
Thank you.
I call to the podium Melissa Bertolo.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Name and address for the record.
My name is Melissa Bertolo. I live at 1137 Harvard Boulevard.
You may begin.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager, and staff. I too am here regarding the flock contract. Not as prepared as I would have liked to have been. And in part, I want to bring up the fact that we do have a surveillance ordinance that requires notification around surveillance technology so that the public is informed. That notification did not go out, which brings up again the fact that residents have asked for this ordinance to be revisited to ensure that we are adhering to it, and call again for that to be occurring. Automatic license plate readers have become one of the most pervasive surveillance tools used by federal immigration enforcement agencies. It's used to survey and ultimately detain the most vulnerable members of our communities. And we have the power, through our procurement, to turn off these surveillance cameras and protect our residents' safety and privacy. I have worked with many of you on the commission and have also worked with the police department, and I know that we trust that this data is secure, that we trust our police department when they say that they are not sharing the information with ICE. And I sincerely believe them as well. They are not sharing it. We have a long legacy of the city protecting immigrants' rights here. But the real concern is that flock is not a secure data system. It does not use end-to-end encryption. And we have seen across the country, as has been noted before me, that there are side door access to this data. Other departments can access localities' information. In fact, in the state of Illinois, which has a state law requiring the immigration or that this data not be shared for immigration purposes. And in the flock contract, it states that we will not violate state law. Still, this information was shared through side door access of other localities across the country accessing cities such as Oak Park and Evansville, and they have since canceled their contracts because what happens is that there's an ability to share this information and for other departments to access it. As an example, I have been able to find out that our police department has searched Centerton, Arkansas for the reason if someone was wanted or there was a warrant. Searches from Montgomery County Sheriff's Office has demonstrated their reasons for search as immigration. And so as we continue to think about how is the status secure, I want to bring up that on October 30th of 2025, there was a search from Brookfield, Missouri, to search nearly 250,000 license plates
Your time is up.
from across the country for an ICE detainer. And it issued a statement that day, later that day.
Your time is up. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you, Ms. Bertello.
Yeah, that is all, Your Honor.
Your Honor, I would like to, if it pleases you, I'd like to bring forward Chief Afzal and Andy Sexton to address a few of the concerns that were raised with our citizens this evening.
Yes, please.
Prior to your deliberation.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
I get Jason also.
This one.
Yeah. Hey, Major Hall, can you come up? Sure. Mayor?
Yes.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Good
So I know you might have questions. There was a lot of concerns raised. So I can tell you that the data that we have from our flock is our data. Flock doesn't have access to it, and that's by contract. And I think Andy can maybe talk about that because that's the same contract that we had for 2023. We share our data with local law enforcement in Ohio. We do not share with any federal agencies. That's written in our contract, and that's how we manage it. So I know there's a lot of concerns about privacy issues. We do that, and also our data is kept for 30 days, and then it goes away. So if you have anything past 30 days, we are not able to search that data. So it has limitations just from the safety perspective. So we use the data properly, and every time we do a search on the data, on our data, we have tracking. So we know who looked at it, why they looked at it, and I can tell you that immigration is the furthest thing from our mind about how when we are doing our service to our community. That's really not a concern of ours as a federal function. We do not get involved in anything to do with immigration. So I know, Andy, if you want to come up here and talk about the contract itself.
Good evening.
Good evening.
The only thing I would add to that is that the contract that you have already approved in the past, 2023, is the same contract that is attached to this order this time. So there's been no change in the position of the department or the contractual agreement that we have with Flock or the way that we handle our data. I will say to Mr. Fairchild, I know you've asked in the past about ALPRs and public records and some of the concerns that are raised around privacy and that. While I'm up here, I would like to say that the state actually passed a law that made ALPRs not a public record effective the first week of October. So I know there was concerns about privacy in that regard from the community and from yourself on a couple occasions. So I want to update you on that as well.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Andy, can you speak to notification of the technology since this was existing technology?
Yeah, I pulled up the ordinance, if you give me just a second. We are required to have a public hearing with public notice as indicated if we are acquiring new surveillance technology. And again, this was already technology that was approved by this commission in 2023 that's been mentioned previously. It does talk about using technology for a purpose, scope, scale, or manner contrary to the use policy. Again, that's not true in this particular case either. And so the ordinance, while it does create opportunity for public input through public notice, would not apply to this situation and this contract with Flock.
Thank you. Commissioner Beckham, do you have any questions?
Just a couple clarifying thoughts. This is grant funded, right? So it's good to hear that it's no cost, additional cost to the city's budget. The neighborhoods where these cameras will likely be placed, these are neighborhoods that the department has already engaged with, and it sounds like these neighborhoods are requesting these cameras.
And Major Hall is the one that kind of handled that part of it, so I can have him address as to what all the things that he did to with the neighbors.
Good evening. So, yes, sir, we did have a robust community engagement with the neighborhood associations about this particular technology. And as a result of that, we actually gained a lot of extra things beyond just talking about the technology. We created and helped with safety plans, neighborhood safety plans, for several neighborhoods that did not currently have them. So all of the neighborhoods that we're looking at to deploy this technology have indicated their desire through a properly executed neighborhood safety plan.
And Major, what are the typical circumstances around why a neighborhood might want these cameras?
Well, they are a fantastic investigative tool. So the one thing about the ALPRs is they do provide those investigative leads, which time and time again for the Dayton Police Department have borne fruit. Especially, and typically that's how we use these systems, is more high-profile type incidents. We are looking at violent crimes, missing persons, endangered persons, felony theft situations. And we know sometimes individuals who are involved in committing crimes often are using vehicles to either enter or leave the area. Some of the notable high profiles, we had an unfortunate, absolutely tragic situation with a 12-year-old that was killed in her bed last year. ALPRs were instrumental in locating and identifying the individuals responsible for that crime. It even goes to the point of we've had great success in proving that a crime did not occur. Last year, we had an individual show up at one of our local hospitals suffering from a gunshot wound. The individual's assertion was he was shot in downtown Dayton. Through the use of ALPRs as well as our downtown camera systems, we were able to determine this individual was shot in Indiana and traveled to our city to seek treatment and cover for his crime.
And my last thought, and more so question, I just want to confirm what I heard. We keep data for no more than 30 days?
That is correct, sir. So the data is held onto for 30 days unless, and there's always a caveat, it becomes evidence in a crime. So if we pull the data as the horrible example is a homicide investigation. At that point, that data becomes evidence in a crime, and now we are on a completely different retention schedule set up by statute, which homicides we are basically keeping forever. And the different levels of crimes, it varies down for how long we have to retain that. And the purpose for that is one, for prosecution, but also a defendant has a right to have access to the evidence for appeal. All those things have to be met.
Thank you. That's all my questions.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Fairchild?
Yeah, thank you. And in the past, we've publicly talked about reviewing the ordinance.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's time that we push that forward. Commissioner Joseph and I have talked on Tuesday about this very thing. So I think it's time to do that. As we do so, it seems like we're in a different environment than 2023 when we initially passed this. And so in that ordinance, we may want to look at a way to kind of come back and review. I know we've talked in the past year, like, let's move forward, but we can always come back and review it. Mm-hmm. I think given the changing environment, I'm particularly concerned around the reports around hacked data. And I'm curious if our requirements as a city on the technology that we use complies with our other data security requirements.
Commissioner, if you'd like me to speak on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I know that our the cloud data that we have with Flock is partitioned for the Dayton Police Department. So Flock has they see about the last 5 transactions, and that is to ensure the system is working correctly. I'm not a data architect, but AWS security is what is being used in this platform, which, to my understanding, limited as maybe is a high level of security for that data.
So do you think the reports of the hacked data are inaccurate?
I know there are instances, I haven't seen anything where I looked at it and I saw something that I thought was proof positive of hacked. We do know that a lot of data, there are public websites out there. One of them, the big common ones I looked at recently is, have I been flocked? And that is populated almost entirely by public records requests. So in some states, notably the state of Washington, the protections we have for ALPR data not being public record are not the same. So municipalities, police departments in the state of Washington are forced to release all of that. So in a lot of the times, and when you see those big numbers of, okay, a lot of searches made, a lot of those nationwide searches, and coming from the state of Washington or whatever state they may originate in, hit every camera in the country. So that's the fallback that comes, okay, hey, Dayton, Ohio, that's where we kind of get pulled in. They have the audit log when we used to do nationwide searches, which we do not do anymore. Another little safeguard we have within our system is we are able to choose and stipulate what reasons we will allow a search to be made of our system, and two that are expressly prohibited within our system is immigration and reproductive right. So any search that has anything to do with that within the cause reason for it will not show our cameras.
I think, like, in a review of this technology, these would be great things to kind of verify, the security, making sure we have a good understanding, making sure, particularly given other reports of data being hacked. I think the audit report, sharing the audit report would be helpful so that we can reassure citizens that we are abiding by the ordinance. Correct. So we can see those times we have shared it. I also had a question around this concern around, there's oftentimes Dayton Police Department are in different task force that include a variety of jurisdictions, both local, state, and federal. When we are in those task force, does that flock data get shared?
That would be completely contrary to our policy. The one thing, and I was very happy to hear the speakers, and we share, once again, we want to make sure this is done correctly. We want to protect, our citizens, our most vulnerable as well. Right. The City of Dayton, the Dayton Police Department for a long time has adhered to a policy of, immigration is not our job. It's not our concern. We should not be involved with that. Yeah. We're there to, and we don't want the chilling effect of having a segment of our population that is scared to call us because they're worried they're going to immediately get deported or reported to another government agency. Yeah. We have federal task force officers. We do not have any with the Department of Homeland Security. We have FBI, we have DEA, we have Secret Service. And once again, everybody's fallible. People run afoul of the rules. Sure. But I'm very confident in our Dayton police officers that, hey, this is the rule, and we're going to adhere to it. The flip side of that, too, is when you have technology like this, we've been trusted for years with the law enforcement automated, or the LEAD system, right, which has personal information, your social security number, your driver's license number, your driving history. We have a long history of abiding by rules when using systems like that have very sensitive data.
Yeah. And I want to be clear, I think our citizens and this commission recognizes the serious nature that our Dayton police. I think our questions are with the technology and some vulnerabilities that may be within that technology. And I want to state, we had this debate previously, and I think I was on the unprevailing side, the losing side of it when we did. And so, this contract is in accordance with what the commission has already passed. So I'm going to support the extension here. But I do believe that the concerns raised in the new environment really does, it's incumbent on us to be responsible and to review this. So that is my request.
Yeah, and Commissioner, I heard the comments, and I'm appreciative of the fact that our community, I understand the concern and the trust that they have shown me when they're in opposition of this technology. All we can tell you is that we actually have an individual, a lieutenant, and we have other individuals, retired individuals we've hired back, their sole job is to now to do quality assurance checks, right? To check our body camera footage to make sure that we are adhering by policy. So if they see something, very rarely do they find something, we'll look at that. So it's not just about the audit trail that we have. They look at everything that we do, especially with the body cam footage. It had nothing to do with anything that we've talked about, just to make sure that we are doing our job. There are two former sergeants from our PSB, and they do a lot of that work just to make sure that we keep the trust of our community. And so we understand it's sensitive. I know I gave a presentation today to Mayor and Commissioner Beckham today that I'll be giving tomorrow to you guys about how we deal with some of the stuff that's occurring. And there's a long tradition of City of Dayton to really abide by what this board has asked us to do and what our manager has asked us to do. So. And we're all constantly looking at, when we hear these things, we're constantly looking at saying, is our data secure or not? And we haven't found any instances, to be honest, of anybody looking at our stuff and sharing it with ICE or any other federal agencies, unless we're involved in a criminal investigation, which has nothing to do with ICE.
And I want to thank Mr. Sexton for that welcome news, because that, as you were sharing, Major Hall, other states don't have the same protections, and that was true until Ohio was similar to that until just recently.
Yeah, until October, I believe, of this past year.
Yeah. So thank you.
Good.
Thank you. Commissioner Shaw.
Yeah, thank you for that, and thank you, my colleagues, for all those questions. I think they're really important, and thank you, Chief and Major Hall, for the clarification. It should be said. I'm glad that you stated clearly that there are other databases and other collection vehicles that we currently have, and I think it's been noted that you've done a pretty good job of protecting sensitive information through those systems, even at a time where we may not have had the resources or the technology to kind of secure, in past years. So I'm glad you brought that. I think that's a very good point. Commissioner Joseph and I kind of led the effort. I'm sure he'll talk about this, so I'll leave him that grace, to bring the community into this conversation. When we first decided or looked at bringing Flock into this community, had some really good ideas, great recommendations that, for the most part, where they were able to be implemented, you all did so. So I think it's important to say that there has been a community effort all along to kind of address these issues and to ensure the safety of our citizens, which we feel most important about in terms of our vulnerable citizens. Having said that, I agree with you, Commissioner Fairchild. Like with every other policy implementation that we put forward, we should always reevaluate them. I just think it's critically important that we do that, and we continue to evaluate and reevaluate. There's always some improvement that can be made done. So I'm glad that you brought that forward. And it's very important to also recognize that the neighborhoods that engage in this Flock technology ask for it. They view it as being very important to them. Thanks for talking about the kind of violent crimes that we've solved, but also, a car theft. I've been the victim of that a few times, unfortunately, and it's devastating. And I have resources that can kind of allow me to move forward, but there are others in our community that can't. So to the extent that we have resources in place to recover vehicles, that's just, that can mean everything to a family. So thank you for that, and I'll turn it over to Commissioner Joseph.
Thank you,
Your Honor.
Thank you, Commissioner Shaw. Commissioner Joseph.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Commissioner Shaw, and actually everyone for their excellent comments here. And you're right, Commissioner Shaw. I want to lead off by saying that across the country, we are one of the very few that have the types of controls that we do, the commission control of surveillance technologies. We have public hearings, we have notices, we have requirements that people talked about in the legislation, requirements of when these things need to be heard publicly. We have requirements that police and our organization, before they put these in place, have to go out to the neighborhoods and make contact not only with the neighborhood groups, but with other groups and individuals in the neighborhood, because the first time we tried it, we did not do that. And there were holes there, and it did not go well, as it's for a case for a lot of first times. So we make sure that we plug those holes. We talk to people in the neighborhood, especially vulnerable communities, to sort of get the truth out about what's happening, to hear their concerns, and hopefully allay them with how we implement technologies. I think all the questions have been asked and been answered mostly. I just want to underline that it's good that you all have somebody actively looking at the data, watching where it goes. There was a speaker who had an excellent suggestion of sort of trying to follow the data where it goes, and I know you all do that already. It might be interesting to formalize that. Maybe that could be part of what we look at as part of our rework, to say that we need to have a formal review of data. If there are new technologies or new attempts across the country to try to get in the data, we can get ahead of that. That's the thing about data, is once you get complacent, things go bad quickly. So I know that you aren't complacent, Chief, and your folks do a good job. I was just over there talking about it the other day. And we have, like I said, transparency and civilian commission control of the technologies, but it doesn't hurt to be, maybe to codify that. So we'll have to talk about that, Commissioner, in our conversations, and hopefully you all will figure something out with that. But thank you, and thank you, Ron.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Major. I really appreciate you providing extra context, and thank you, Mr. Sexton, as well. I do have a couple of questions. I do want to acknowledge all of the residents who raised their concerns. They're very vital concerns, especially as Commissioner Fairchild has mentioned, just the climate that we're in right now. And again, Chief, you mentioned that in the presentation that we had this afternoon. So with that, once the data, I know you had mentioned after 30 days, the data is in fact removed or discarded. So how do we know, what are the reassurances that we have, and that there are not any side door or back door activity that may occur? And I know I'm not asking you to, have this crystal ball, if you will, but what are some of the guarantees, if any, that the contract may speak to, or that the provider, the servicer, has acknowledged in terms of the protection of data and privacy?
So one of the things, obviously, the data that we garner through the LPRs is the City of Dayton's data. It resides in that partition section of the cloud. Access to it is through multi-factor authentication, names and passwords. So that is a fairly secure process. The other part of it, too, is we obviously collaborate with other city departments. I know our IT department has been very diligent on helping us with data security. Once again, not a data architect, but I understand there's multiple levels. You have the cloud level up there that has that AWS. We have the methods to access it. And then even within is just our city infrastructure of safeguarding our mobile computers in the cars and our infrastructure in our offices to make sure that there is not a route for a third party to access our data.
Okay, thank you. And then could you speak to any other safeguards that are in place for the protection of privacy protections of the data itself?
And it is very pedestrian, but one of the biggest one is obviously the policies and procedures of our city and of our department. So it is all laid out in both our surveillance policy and a policy on ALPR within the Dayton Police Department as to the permissive use and how to use these technologies. In addition to that, also training goes out to the officers and teaching them how to use these technologies. And like I said, a component of that is always the proper ethical use of the technology.
In the terms of this agreement, to Commissioner Beckham's point, this is in fact a grant that we were awarded, and is for just a period of 1 year. Is that correct?
Correct, ma'am.
Okay. And then the areas selected as this particular use of technology, were there any concerns that came out of the meetings, the 9 meetings that took place? Were there any public concerns as it relates to privacy, information, or data sharing?
There was several of the concerns that we talked about tonight, talking about, is the data secure? How long is it held? How is it used? How is it shared with? Or to whom it is shared with.
Okay. I just would like to, Ms. Joyce McAlpine, she raised a very interesting point, and again, a number of the residents that spoke this evening raised a number of very vital points. Again, with the climate that we're in, so My support for this is contingent upon us identifying the need for an audit, for an audit for us to reassess, for us to review the ordinance that we have in place, and again, to have a full understanding of how the information itself is being stored and disposed of. So I don't know if we could potentially have a review within the next 30, 45 days. I don't want to put any, I know that there's some capacity gaps, if you will, and I know that there are a number of various different things that we have charged with given the time. But is there something that we could put in place to reassure some of the concerns that have been raised this evening, not only from the members of the commission itself, but the members of our community, and then, given the climate that we're in?
So I understand the climate that we're in, and I think we're very sensitive about that, and that's why we had the presentation today with you, and we're going to have the same thing with other commissioners, and I'm actually also invited to the same meeting that a lot of you guys are going on Saturday. I'll speak early in the morning about reassuring our community as to how we operate and how we're focused on crime and disorder issue, and not really nothing what federal government does or doesn't do. The data is only kept for 30 days, so if you do anything past 30 days audit-wise, it's not going to be there for us to do audit it, right? So the question is going to be that based on what you decide as a collective, we'll put our heads together saying, okay, for the last 30 days, what we have done, how we've accessed, we can look at it. It's going to be time-consuming. Because I'm not sure that is as friendly to search from an audit perspective as some other systems are, because part of that is to devise a system that you just can't share long with anybody and everybody, right? So because the data is only kept for 30 days, if you were to ask me what happened 6 months ago, unless it's kept as an evidence, because on some of the crimes, the data is gone, I can't even search it. So we'll have to kind of put our heads together saying, to meet the needs that you have, and especially if you're looking at the policy and you put something in the policy that we have to go back, well, literally we'll have to do because I don't think we should ever even consider keeping the data longer than 30 days. I think 30 days is about the most that I think I feel comfortable as a police chief and as a citizen of this community that some of the police should have. Because depending on what you ask me to do, that might require keeping data longer, and I'm going to say that I will caution you to do that, because I don't know we want to create that kind of a precedent. Anything shorter than that, I don't think it's needed. That might not be as efficient. So we'll have to figure out within the last 30 days who's done what. So.
Mayor, I think the starting point for us is looking at the review of our processes and auditing our process in accordance with the ordinance. I think it's also about reviewing our security of our technology and making sure that we have good, solid answers around what some of these other experiences with Flock have been across the country, so that we can answer and provide some confidence and assurances to you around that. I think that's where we can start most effectively, and then as you all have conversations with the review of the ordinance and things that you want to potentially pursue or whatever, then we can, collectively work on that.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Dixon. Thank you for offering that.
Mayor?
Yes, please.
So one of the things that we do have one requirement by code, that's the annual surveillance report. That's going to be coming out this month. That's going to share some of the information that you're looking for.
Okay.
But if you're looking for real time, last 30 days who's done that, that's the only thing I can go back to. So who has accessed it. That we will have to come up with that. So we do spot checks because we have so much data, and as Major Hall mentioned, Lee's data actually has so much more information than whatever Flock information has. Flock has a tag that we get, and if we get a hit, it's based on certain criteria. Is it a felony vehicle? Is somebody wanted for a warrant? But information that we have on Lee's, it has social security numbers, addresses, a lot more history. So we do those spot checks. But that report is also coming out. That's going to tell us how we have been using this technology. But you do raise an interesting question. We'll have to see what do we need to do internally if you're looking for every month stuff, because we only keep the data for a month. Right.
I just wanted to add that our general order actually requires an audit of our technology. So I know you're asking for it, but our general order already requires it of all of our technology. So in addition to the surveillance report, it's something that's required of our policy and procedure anyway.
Thank you for uplifting that. We want to make sure that that is publicly known, so thank you for highlighting that. I think Commissioner Fairchild, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Comments?
I'm curious around the data, not the data itself that's collected and held for 30, but the trail of whom we have shared it to. What's the length of time that we keep that information? And I think if I heard citizens correctly, in my own interest is, can we get an audit? Can we get a report of that? I mean, can we look back a year and say, this is how many times it's been accessed, here's who's accessed it, for what purpose?
We'll have to take a look at that to see, because I know the data is only kept for 30 days outside of the evidentiary data. So that's an interesting question to see, what can we do? We'll talk to our vendor to say, okay, what is there from a, not what the actual data is, but the accessibility on that, because that is there. We're supposed to keep that and track who did what. So I'm sure we can produce that, but I can't answer that as to what that looks like right now.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it. Not to task my colleagues, but I think this is an opportunity for Commissioner Joseph and Commissioner Fairchild to lead and for us to have a conversation collectively, 2 by 2, if you will, with an update, and then allow the staff, Ms. Dixteen, if we could get some further recommendations for us, and then thus find a way and a means for us to inform the public as to what those steps that are being made to reassure that the data is in fact protected. So.
Okay.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Any other questions? I'm sorry. Any other questions?
I'm good.
All right.
Good?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Chief. Ms. Dixteen, are there any additions?
No, I have no other
All right.
comments.
All right. Very good. Thank you. Commissioners, are there any comments or suggestions on the city manager's calendar?
No, I have none.
Recommendations, I should say.
I have none.
Have none?
I do.
Commissioner, please.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to make comments around the working group, the downtown working group, safety group, because there were some comments made around that. I'm grateful the group that was together were made up of business leaders. Commissioner Turner played a role in it, other elected officials. And I think it's a good start. And I think we talk about wanting participatory government, and I think
Congressman Turner.
what did I say?
Commissioner.
I'm sorry.
That works.
I'm really downgrading, right? It should have been mayor, right? But so for the congressman, my apologies to the congressman. But I think it's a model of how we move forward, because we want everyone engaged in the safety of our city. And I know that this commission has a desire to extend that into our residential neighborhoods. And so I think this becomes a piece of a broader conversation around what reimagining public safety looks like. And Chief is always quick to remind us that our police, we can't enforce our way out of some of the big problems we have, particularly those that could, that lead to crime. And so what can we do to prevent around improving our neighborhood development, our housing conditions, our school system, our young people, building community trust, social cohesion in our neighborhoods. I mean, there's a lot that we can do. And I think it starts with these kind of conversations. So people engaging more will be better. So I'm supportive of the recommendations that's coming from the downtown work group, and I look forward to encouraging other work groups to form and more people to be engaged as we work to bring safety to our city.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Shaw?
Yeah, well, along that line, and thank you for bringing that up, because there have been some misconceptions about how this working group was organized, and what the purpose was. Yeah, let me just say this publicly. Downtown Dayton is safe. Some numbers are low that kind of go back to 2018, I think the city manager would agree with. Downtown Dayton is safe. What we've got is a perception issue about downtown Dayton. And this working group, for the record, was specifically about safety in downtown Dayton, because there was this perceived threat about we're on the tipping point, we're moving in the wrong direction, and investment could be threatened, which we all know, and I think would agree that development in downtown Dayton pays for much of what happens in the rest of our broader community. Said that plenty of times. Having said that, along with increasing safety, and really this was about talking about some of the policy prescriptions that we've put into place, reinvigorating the bike force and just surging police protection in downtown. Again, having said that, downtown is very safe. It's probably our safest neighborhood, and we need to definitely be concentrating on West Dayton and parts of East Dayton that are very dangerous, and that's something that we will work on as a body, I'm sure, in the coming days. But the value that I saw in this, for the most part, was bringing collaboration to the table, which is what we're famous for in this community, to bring all resources to bear on an issue and then communicating that out so that others feel safe coming downtown, because there's this ridiculous perception that downtown Dayton is not safe. And we have to be able to push back on that, to encourage folks to come downtown and take advantage of all that we have to offer in this community, and especially in downtown Dayton. So I saw this as an opportunity to kind of have the conversation, agreeing that there was more work to do, that we could always make things safer. And I view this as a great opportunity for us to be able to communicate that out into the broader community, because I'm glad that the media is here today, but oftentimes they don't talk about the positive things that happen in our city. And because of the stature, I guess, of a congressional representative that comes and brings a group together, all of a sudden we had plenty of media talking about this all over the place. So to me, that's a net positive. So I looked at this as a good opportunity, a great start, and could be a great model for what we do in the rest of the community. I agree with you, and that's why I support this initiative.
Thank you, Commissioner
Thank you.
Shaw. Commissioner Joseph?
Thank you, Mayor. Nothing further.
All right, thank you. I would just like to very briefly echo my colleagues' comments in regards to, again, the work that has been done for the convening of the safety committee and focusing on downtown. This is, in fact, an opportunity for us to use it as a model. We know that there is some work that is being done. We have Felons with a Future who have been awarded the contract or the agreement with GDAHA, and that is for the Global Care Violence Initiative. And we know that there is more work that is going to be done with that initiative outside of, again, the Felons with a Future, and looking at other mechanisms so that we can work collectively to reduce the violence in our community. So again, I invite those who made the comments, and your concerns are very valid. I invite you to join one of the three committees that we will be convening, and that we will be all collectively working together. And so again, many of the residents, you have deep concerns, and we want to work, again, in partnership to make sure that we are identifying those various different means of addressing those social ills in our community, from the social services. I know Ms. Hastings has mentioned the social elements of all the various different things that we're dealing with and the root causes of crime itself. So thank you for bringing that to our attention, and know that that is, in fact, a commitment of mine. And I'm sure I have the support of my colleagues in that vein as well. So we're going to do that necessary work. But again, this is, in fact, the model. We have to change the perception of downtown Dayton in all 65 neighborhoods. We want to make Dayton safe, but we do understand that there are a number of root causes that we need to deal with. So thank you for your comments and for being here. All right. May I have a motion to approve the city manager's recommendation?
So moved.
Second motion, Your Honor.
It has been properly moved and second to approve the city manager's recommendations. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those all who oppose say no. Legislation, Ms. McClendon.
First reading emergency resolution number 6913-26, objecting to the issuance of liquor permit number 10007766-1, Leela Group LLC, doing business as Dayton Downtown BP, 433 South Main Street, Dayton, Ohio 45402, and declaring an emergency.
Your Honor, Resolution 6913-26 being declared an emergency, I move for its immediate passage.
Second motion, Your Honor.
It has been properly moved and seconded to declare emergency resolution 6913-26 as an emergency. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no.
Second reading emergency resolution number 6913-26, objecting to the issuance of liquor permit number 10007766-1, Leela Group LLC, doing business as Dayton Downtown BP, 433 South Main Street, Dayton, Ohio 45402. Mayor Turner-Sloss.
No.
Commissioners Joseph.
Aye.
Shaw.
Aye. I think
We want to let's
redo that.
Yes. So, thank you. First meeting. Thank you.
Mayor Turner-Sloss.
Aye.
Commissioners Joseph.
Aye.
Shaw.
Aye.
Fairchild.
Aye.
Beckham.
Aye.
First reading resolution number 6914-26, addressing our commitment to protecting and strengthening downtown Dayton. Second reading ordinance number 32175-25, appropriating property designated as parcels 16T, 29SH and T, and 30T in connection with the Kiwi Street Safety Improvement Project. Mayor Turner-Sloss.
Aye.
Commissioners Joseph.
Aye.
Shaw.
Aye.
Fairchild.
Aye.
Beckham.
Aye.
Second reading resolution number 6910-25, declaring the intention to appropriate real property interest in parcel 31T1 and T2 in connection with the Kiwi Street Safety Improvement Project. Mayor Turner-Sloss.
Aye.
Commissioners Joseph.
Aye.
Shaw.
Aye.
Fairchild.
Aye.
Beckham.
Aye.
Second reading resolution number 6911-25, declaring the intention of the commission to vacate the alley south of St. Charles Avenue from 20 feet east of the alley east of Bowen Street to Crichton Avenue. Mayor Turner-Sloss.
Aye.
Commissioners Joseph.
Aye.
Shaw.
Aye.
Fairchild.
Aye.
Beckham.
Aye.
That is all, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. McClendon. We have board reappointments.
We do. I move to reappoint Hunt Brown, Bonnie Kling, Carolyn Rice, Ed Dixon, Tony Ricciuto, Thomas Cialfa, and Lori Sims Park to the Dayton Sister City Committee for a term ending December 31, 2028.
Second the motion, Your Honor.
It has been properly moved and seconded to reappoint Hunt Brown, Bonnie Kling, Carolyn Rice, Ed Dixon, Tony Ricciuto, Thomas Cialfa, and Lori Sims Park to the Dayton Sister City Committee for a term ending December 31st, 2028. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Ms. McClendon, are there any citizens registered to speak?
Your Honor, there are 13 citizens registered to speak.
All right.
I would like to state that there is a 3-minute time limit. As you address the commission, we ask that you state your name and address for the record. At that time, I will turn on the green light. When the green light comes on, you will have 3 minutes to speak. After you have spoken 2.5 minutes, a yellow light will come on. You will have 30 seconds remaining to speak. When the red light comes on, you will be asked to cease your comments and to take your seat. To the audience in attendance, please be mindful this is a business meeting, and we kindly request that during this portion of the meeting, you refrain from any hand clapping, finger snapping, and conversation that will prevent the City Commission from hearing the speaker's comments. I call to the podium Caleb Kennedy.
Good evening.
Name and address for the record.
Good evening. I am Caleb Kennedy. I live on 1637 Canterbury Lane, Lebanon, Ohio, 45036. I thank you, Madam Mayor, commissioners, and staff for allowing me to speak on the peace resolution with Venezuela. President Trump and this government tell us that we are liberating Venezuela from a brutal dictator, and this liberation will create peace in the region. This is inherently untrue, because liberation cannot be forced by imperial means. For imperialism historically requires dominance that turn our people into monsters who kill, pillage, torture, and rape our fellow human beings. The USA will replace Maduro with a dictator just as, if not more brutal than if not more brutal, because this dictator will oppress working class Venezuelans so that U.S. billionaires can steal Venezuela's oil and natural resources. In truth, the only way to liberate Venezuela is to support the Venezuelan proletariat if they decide to overthrow Maduro and create a government that represents them, not bomb their house, their home, and create instability. I hope the City Council of Dayton and the American people take the true route of peace by refusing to participate in Trump's violent conquest of Venezuela. Thank you. I forfeit the rest of my time.
Thank you.
I call to the podium Ben Williams.
Hello. Ben
Hello.
Williams, 1331 Cherry Hill Drive, Miamisburg. I am here today to urge the Dayton City Commission to adopt a resolution for peace with Venezuela. Growing up in the age of the war in Iraq, myself and the bulk of my generation have seen the impacts of many United States industrial military campaigns that were nothing more than modern-day imperialism disguised as a smoke and mirror war on terrorism. We were raised on propaganda and fear-mongering about weapons of mass destruction that were never found, propaganda that was successful in its intent to numb working-class America into complacency in the face of war crimes and humanitarian crises, funded with our tax dollars. We are seeing history repeat itself today in the form of baseless claims about drug cartels and narco-terrorism in Venezuela, claims that have not been previously backed by DEA reports on cartel drug movement into the U.S. As the current administration tries to swindle up support for another costly war aimed at seizing another sovereign nation's resources, United States veterans still make up 23% of this country's current homeless population. According to a report by the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs, there are an estimated 131,000 unhoused former service members on the streets of this country on any given night. And of this unhoused population, 89% were reported to have ended their service with an honorable discharge. You might ask yourself what one declaration of a commitment to peace in our small city can do in the face of this conflict, and I am sure I am not the only person speaking here today that would like to remind you of the City of Dayton's history as a symbol of the peace we are here to defend. I would ask this commission to put serious consideration into the impact this conflict is about to have on our community as the city that houses so many active service members stationed at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. It is our friends and families and neighbors that will come home to a lack of infrastructure to feed and house and clothe them. It is members of our community that will come home in desperate need of mental health services that they will not have adequate access to. I would ask you to please consider what a historic opportunity this resolution represents. You have a chance to stand with the people of this community, and together we will take a strong stance against this fascist administration's illegal overreach, and we can show the world that international law must be upheld and that there will no longer be toleration for bloodshed for oil. Thank you.
Thank you.
I call to the podium Moss Dickey. Name and address for the record.
Moss Dickey, 531 Belmont Park North, Dayton. First of all, I want to congratulate Mayor Sloss on achieving the mayorship, and Commissioner Fairchild and Beckham for your re-election and your new seats. I actually intended to speak earlier, but I signed up for the wrong section. My bad. I wanted to speak on the flock cameras and the resolution put forward by Congressman Mike Turner. I do not know if your thoughts are already made up about the flock camera. Obviously, you guys were talking about review and all that kind of stuff, and I think a review is very important. But I think it is also important to note that many people here in the community have come forward to talk about their concern about flock. And indeed, flock is near Orwellian in how far-reaching it is becoming. It is spreading across this country like a disease, like a virus. It is not safe. It is not acceptable that we are accepting and utilizing a system that has been shown time and again by sources like the ACLU to not be safe. This, no matter how many times they reassure us, please, please, please believe us, we're actually safe. Ignore the new system that was just hacked. Ignore the new time that ICE used us to track someone. It's not okay. I remember a time in America where grocery stores didn't have cameras in the parking lots. And now there are grocery stores or Walmarts have just Cameras everywhere. There are 4 cameras in this room right now. We are a hyper-surveilled people already. It is, again, Orwellian. I cannot say this word. I was trying earlier. It is scary just how much privacy we are sacrificing in the name of peace, safety, when all we're really achieving is more unknown eyes staring at us as we go about our day, as we go to work, as we just sit and play with our kids or walk down the street. And it's just eyes, eyes, eyes everywhere. What do we get? Less privacy, less actual safety. When it comes to Mike Turner, I think one very clear thing can be stated, and I think that should be all when it comes to public safety in any of his recommendations, was that he did not, when it counted, vote to release the Epstein files. Did not vote to bring that to the floor. How can we expect any recommendations from a man who actively helped to hide one of the largest pedophilia rings the world has ever known? I think that that should be taken into account with anything this man ever says again. And when it comes to Venezuela, any war is bad, and the United States has acted for too long as the police officer at the doors of the world, kicking down doors where we view it best, abducting people from their homes in the middle of the night. That is my time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I call to the podium Hillary Lermer.
Good afternoon. My name's Hillary Lerman. I live at 249 Wyoming Street in Dayton. I've been a resident of Dayton for 50 years. I came before the City Commission in '03 opposing the invasion of Iraq. We said, you're going to regret it. But the commission still passed supporting Bush's attempt to invade Iraq. Well, even their people admitted it was wrong. I came before with other people to as far as Gaza and supporting the ceasefire, and I want to commend the City Commission at that time supported the ceasefire. Now we're faced a crisis as bad, and we need the City Commission to say this brutal attack, this brutal kidnapping of Venezuela is wrong. As people have said, it's a violation of the international law, and as people in the intelligence agency say, this is blowback. There's going to be retribution for these actions. I just want to say, switching a little bit, when people were asking about the cameras, and I believe the police are saying, honestly, we're trying to protect it. But how do we know ICE, how do we know the Trump administration is not able to devise ways of accessing this? I think we have to be really alert about those things. I'll cancel the rest of my statement. Thank you.
Thank you.
I call to the podium Alec Johnson.
Bad eyes. My name is Alec Johnson. I live at 4822 Hassan Circle in Dayton's Eastern Hills. I'm a member of the Party for Socialism and Liberation. First, PSL wants to congratulate our new mayor and welcome the 2026 city commissioners. Living in a country that illegally declared an illegal war against Venezuela in which their head of state was kidnapped forces us all to cut our celebrations short. Despite this, we can celebrate the fact that we can take action and that you, mayor and council members, can offer vital support when it's most critically needed. More than most cities in this country, this war has a special significance for Dayton. As home to one of the largest Air Force bases in the United States, we can be certain that Wright-Patterson is already involved in the project of attacking innocent Venezuelan people for oil. We won't have to guess if they'll be ordered to commit war crimes. Operation Absolute Resolve is a vast criminal undertaking. U.S. service members have already committed war crimes, slaughtering dozens of innocent Venezuelan fishermen, and who knows how many innocent civilians in Caracas joined them on or after January 3rd. Outright piracy of Venezuelan oil tankers was merely a prelude to stealing the country of Venezuela altogether. The sovereignty of the Venezuelan people means nothing to the billionaires determined to seize the largest proven oil reserves on earth, and they seem determined to commit the international war crime of the century to gain that oil. The people of Dayton, indeed the people of the United States, and large majorities around the world, quite rightly want nothing to do with this hideous war. Dayton is famously associated with peace, home of the historic Dayton Peace Accords in the International Peace Museum. We stand for peace. We must condemn this war. History amplifies Dayton's voices when we speak about peace, so let us speak very clearly and loudly now. Let us fervently declare Dayton's absolute commitment to peace and support for international law. The attack on Venezuela confirms Martin Luther King Jr.'s declaration made many years ago that the United States is the greatest purveyor of violence in the world. And so we, inside the belly of the imperial beast, must become the greatest champions of peace. The greatest champions of peace. We must use everything at our disposal to end this war. We call upon the Dayton City Commission to swiftly adopt the resolution for peace with Venezuela. We implore you to take whatever action is appropriate to ensure that this resolution promptly becomes an official act of the city of Dayton. As a city, we stand for all of the virtues of peace and against all of the vices of war. Let us choose to begin the new year firm in our resolve to remain civil champions of peace, determined to bend the arc of history towards justice. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
I call to the podium Joseph Abrams.
Hi, Joseph Abrams, 117 Park Drive. Yeah, absolutely. I really hope the city will take seriously the recommendation to introduce a resolution opposing war in Venezuela, intervention in Venezuela. You know, I mean, I think we all know the results of the last election, and we can all guess at people's reasons for voting the ways they do. But I'd have to say that probably at the top of no one's list of how and why they were voting for the administration that they were voting for, because it never came up in either debates I saw, was, are we going to invade other countries to steal tankers of oil? So that's a major transparency issue. And that brings me back to, you know, I came here just to speak of Venezuela at this point, but I keep thinking about the stuff we were talking about earlier. You know, we can make all kinds of assurances, but things can change, people can change, details can change. We need transparency. And, you know, it's good to hear that some of you feel really positively about this new security working group downtown. But in the spirit of transparency, a lot of us are just finding out about this. Like, I mean, I just heard about it from the news this week thoroughly. So, like, I'm taking Mike Turner at his word about what he had of it. And as far as the flock cameras, like, I just happened to notice that in the agenda when it came out on Monday. And, you know, transparency means we're supposed to be given plenty of opportunity to understand something and process it. Dumping 459 pages out with like 48 hours to think about it, I challenge some grad students to make good sense of that, you know? That's really not very transparent. And in terms of the agreement around surveillance, it's well beyond the spirit of that agreement to say that it's not new technology to expand a program. Like, the spirit is, if you change anything about the surveillance technology that you're using in the city, you're supposed to let us know something. And they haven't been good about the reporting either, but that's just a plain violation of the spirit of the agreement. Like, a real, like, basic American white guy way to say it is, like, if my wife asked me not to buy another guitar, and I just bought, like, don't buy any new guitars. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna buy another Telecaster. It's not new, I already have one. So that's not a new guitar. Like, you definitely went against the spirit of the agreement, and they wouldn't appreciate it. So I hope we can do a lot better about allowing for input, allowing for people to understand, and more transparency. And I'm glad people can change. I was glad to see that 180 from Mr. Shaw, because the last time I was here to speak was right after that press conference with the former mayor, and you said downtown was full of predators and we needed to keep our kids away from it. So I'm glad to see the 180 where you said it's safe. I really appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Abrams.
I call to the podium Mary Sue Geminer.
Mary Sue Geminer, 1418 Arbor Avenue. Madam Mayor, Commissioners, Ms. Dickstein, Ms. Blackshear, Ms. McClendon, good evening.
Good evening.
First, congratulations to our new mayor and our new city commissioner, as well as our returning commissioner. I really appreciated your energy and your emphasis on values and who we are as a city in your speeches Monday evening. And I also heard a call to greater citizen participation. And in light of that, I want to invite residents to join the Community Engagement Committee. This is a standing committee that was started as part of the police reform process of 2020-2021, not to be confused with Mike Squire's Community Engagement Department. This committee began in 2022 with the goal of ensuring that Dayton Police Department personnel have opportunities to build positive relationships and cultural competency with the diverse community members, garner a better understanding of the uniqueness of each neighborhood, provide educational experiences, and work with the community to prevent and reduce crime. I've been a member of the committee since its inception, but we have struggled with citizen participation. On Monday evening, there was applause when safety was mentioned. If anyone listening is a citizen concerned about safety in Dayton, consider joining this committee. You can search for Police Reform Committee application on the city's website. I don't feel unsafe in downtown Dayton, but it does make sense to review the recommendations from this ad hoc political and business leaders downtown Dayton security working group. I hope that you would offer similar support to any citizen ad hoc group that reaches out to you. All citizens are the right people. Yeah. I do want to point out that we have been through a process with police reform working groups. Youth are often blamed for the problems downtown, and yet 3 of the 4 reform recommendations that were deemed implausible relate to criminal justice for juveniles. The excuse then was that a broader collaboration was necessary, and now we see that broader collaboration, but without the same resident input. I would suggest that any review of new recommendations include a look back at what's been done and what's not been done from the police reform working groups. The other topic I want to address is the request that is being made for a resolution about Venezuela. When there are so many pressing issues here in Dayton, it may seem like a waste of time to consider a resolution about something over which you have no control. I would suggest that every city that makes a statement against violations of the Constitution and federal and international law adds to the weight of resistance and pushes us back towards the democracy that we want to be. I encourage you to condemn the illegal actions of our country against the sovereign nation of Venezuela. Thank you.
Thank you.
I call to the podium Fazila Pasha.
Mayor, Commissioners, my name is Fazila Pasha. I'm with the Party of Socialism and Liberation, and I reside at 2575 Brush Hill Court. It seems like all my life I've seen the United States at war. It's as if the rest of the world is held hostage by gunpoint by the United States. I'm not sure what entitles the United States to kidnap a democratically elected leader of a foreign nation and talk about running it when we can't run our city sustainably here. Dayton's median household income is $43,000, and roughly a quarter of our residents live in poverty. Dayton and so many cities like it need investments at home and not our tax dollars funding another forever war. The vast majority of U.S. constituents oppose this war. They understand the need at home that these forever wars directly steal from. Local services such as public transportation, infrastructure, education, healthcare, community programs, etc., rely heavily on federal funding, which is colossally underfunded in most cities, as our federal government spends heaps and heaps of our tax dollars on wrecking the economy of Venezuela through various embargoes and sanctions, dropping bombs on its citizens, civilians, and murdering fishermen in the sea like bullies. There isn't even a maintained facade when we dig into why we want to subtly bring democracy into Venezuela. Through some entitlement, the United States wishes to steal the sovereign nation's oil with military aggression. The tactic is not new, harming the economies of nations that actually want to better the lives of their citizens using sanctions and fake outrage of drug cartels or weapons of mass destruction to destroy the infrastructure and credibility of foreign nations we want to control the assets and resources of. Venezuela intends to nourish their population with rights to education and healthcare and basic human dignity. These aggressions can potentially escalate into ongoing attacks that make us all vulnerable to the impacts that this could have at home. This would not affect the children of the 1%, the billionaires. It impacts us, the children we care for, and the young working class constituents that could be sent over to fight another unethical war. Dayton has plenty of needs right at the heart of it. We want our home city to be one of peace, one of collective responsibility and liberties that all of us can enjoy. As the economy continues to pose challenges to everyday working class folks, we have to ensure that another war for the profits of oil companies and their friends does not take priority over the needs of our city. War would raise gas, transportation, and food costs everywhere, including our city. The USS Gerald Ford that is deployed to the coast of Venezuela cost over $17 billion to build. That monumental amount could provide for so much improvement for the lives of our residents. It is time we demand our lawmakers and communities and justice providers care about our communities more than they care about sellout leaders that do the bidding of billionaire businessmen. We want to ensure Dayton remains a city of love that welcomes all, and why we are proposing this. And
Your
that
time
is
is
why.
up. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
I call to the podium Ethan Vandenberg.
Good evening. I'm Ethan Vandenberg. I live at 8317 Washington Village Drive, and I'm an organizer with the Party for Socialism and Liberation. From the extrajudicial murders of innocent people in the Pacific and Caribbean, from the kidnappings of Maduro and the First Lady Celia Flores, the blatant acts of international piracy, it all makes very clear the aims of U.S. empire to dominate Latin America. It is not ordinary Americans who will benefit from Venezuela's resources. It is big oil and war profiteers who will seek to reap the profits. Dayton is home to a vast ecosystem of defense industry contractors, research organizations, and of course, Right Pact. This means we are directly affected. Our tax dollars flow straight into the coffers of weapons manufacturers to fund the endless machines of war and violence abroad. The wartime treasure chest was just up to nearly $1 trillion for 2026. All the while, people in our city can barely afford the basic necessities. Recent census data reports nearly 28% of Dayton residents live in poverty. We can barely afford to feed and clothe our families, let alone ourselves. The vultures on Wall Street bet on the prospects of war and are looking to make it big. All the while, we struggle to put food on the table and keep the lights on. There must be an effort to come together and unite against these reckless escalations, to reject any efforts made by the United States to oppose its way on Latin America. This is why we're pushing for a resolution for peace with Venezuela to be adopted by the city commissioners so that we can continue the legacy of peace advocacy that our city is known for. The people of Venezuela should be free to determine their own government and economic systems without the boot of U.S. empire stomping them down. We urge the city commissioners to adopt this resolution, to side with peace, and with the majority of Americans and Venezuelans who don't want another forever war. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
I call to the podium Yusuf El-Zain.
Save the best for the last, I guess. If I may register an observation, and I wanted to speak on the legislation before you read it.
Name and address for the record.
Yeah, I'm registering an objection before I speak. Your legislation number 7 reads, addressing our commitment to protecting
Alzane.
and strengthening downtown
Mr.
Dayton.
Alzane, excuse me. Please state your name and your address for the record, and then you can speak to that.
Okay. My name is Yusuf Alzane, 4906 Amberwood Drive, Dayton, Ohio.
Thank you very much.
I will send an email about registering this, but the way the legislation number 7 is written is very deceiving, and it's not transparent. It wasn't written by the City of Dayton staff. It was forced on you to make it a law. Transparency is important. Now, I am here because I am deeply troubled by the tale of two Daytons being presented by the recent Security Working Group, a group that neglected to include local citizens or any citizen group. While I understand the importance of safety, this new effort feels like a disingenuous attempt to sanitize downtown for corporate interests while continuing to neglect the neighborhoods, the 56 of them, where the majority of Daytonians live, work, and raise their families. We are being told there is a crisis downtown that requires immediate federal, state, and local interventions, yet the data tells us a different story. If downtown was dangerous, Commissioner Shaw, as it's being smeared to be, would we see hundreds and thousands of people gathering on the lawns of the Levitt Pavilion during the summer season? They come from all walks of life, black, white, rich, poor, and the unhoused, because that's what this is for, to clean the city from the unhoused, gathering peacefully during the summer season at the Levitt Pavilion and other downtown venues. To date, there has not been a single serious infraction reported at these public gatherings. People are coexisting and building community right next to the RTA hub. Furthermore, according to the Dayton Police Department, own reports from September 2025, overall violent crime across the city is actually down 19%. Aggravated robberies fell 28%. Why are we framing a handful of incidents, as sad as they are, downtown as a city-wide emergency while ignoring the neighborhoods where residents actually feel the weight of neglect? More killings have happened at the county jail than downtown Dayton. What makes this security working group even more insulting is its attempt to replace the genuine community-led efforts that this commission saw fit to dismantle in 2020. Over 125 of us, including me and many of you sitting there, clergy, public defenders, and residents spent thousands of hours on public reform. Safety is not a luxury that should be reserved for the central business district. If you can find the political will to open a new substation on Main Street, downtown Dayton, why can't you find the same urgency for street lights, response time, and blight in our neighborhoods? I urge the Commission to stop the security theater, stop the smear campaign, return the community-led reforms you abandoned, and start investing in the safety of every zip code. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Alzane.
I call to the podium Kevin Keller.
Good morning, or I'm sorry, Kevin Keller, 3922 East 3rd Street, Dayton, Ohio, 45403. Mayor, congratulations.
Thank you.
And you, Mr. Commissioner, congratulations. Nice to see a new face. And commission and city manager and audience. Of all the commission meetings I've been to, I've risen to offer my opinion on certain topics which I really care about, and I hope the community cares about. And I rarely choose to end my comments on a negative note or tone. However, the current ordinance I hear given to me by one of the sergeants of the police department, that you are allowed to shoot your gun on your property, no matter what it is, as long as you don't cross a road or you don't hit anybody else's house. I think that's ridiculous. Who are we as a community, a state, and a nation that cries and complains about all the crime in their neighborhoods if they pass this kind of law? And I hear it's a state law. I think that's crazy. So many shootings are done by, child found the gun in his parents' room or out in the garage, or it's just ridiculous. The senseless killings, and here we are trying to fix our city and the outlying, and we have these crazy laws because somebody deserves their right. I just think that's ridiculous, and we need to do something about that. I'm trying to end on a positive note with that, but it's hard. So we got to figure out what's safe. I mean, we can enjoy our guns, we can go target shooting, we can people hunt, but it seems like some people are hunting each other, and that's just unacceptable in my opinion. And as far as these demos, is there any way that this situation could be helped by deconstructing the houses? Years ago, when I lived in South Park, some of these houses they would deconstruct and they'd sell the interior, doorknobs, doors, all the ironwork. I live in an old house, so we could use that. And where did the debris go? I mean, you got that stuff. They're not sorting out. They're putting it in a dump truck and dumping it somewhere. How do we know there's nothing toxic in there, or is going to leach into the soil and, hurt somebody's future? Also, as far as the surveillance cameras, I think we could try a trial. Like you get you buy a subscription and they give you a free trial run. You use it for a year and see how it works out. See how many episodes we have, and make a determination there. And involve the citizens and bless you. Involve the citizens and government to make a decision, because this is not only your community; it's our community too. As far as I'd love to go to this committee. We need more neighborhood involvement. I believe I'm one of the only residents from up East 3rd Street. And by the way, thanks for the speed cameras. But we got to find a way to.
Your time is up. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Keller.
I call to the podium Ebony Hastings.
Ebony Hastings, 1238 Wabash Avenue. I'm here to press for a principled, citywide approach to growth and safety with strong accountability and clear focus. First, accountability in Dixteen. I'm calling for an immediate review of the current 50K contract authority. I urge the Commission to revoke or suspend that spending power and consider a different contract spending limit, given our dire economic constraints and budget cuts at the state and federal levels. We also need an independent audit of last year's spending to root out any fraud, waste, or abuse and restore public trust with the city manager actively involved in findings presented publicly. Second, quid pro quo in negotiations. Any new business ventures or incentives must and should include clear, measurable benefits for the city as a whole and for West Dayton in particular. If a project seeks incentives, concessions, or location advantages, there must be verifiable gains for the community: jobs, apprenticeships, safety, improvements, infrastructure, or neighborhood services, not blanket tax relief. We need specific terms, sunset provisions, and public accountability for every agreement so residents know exactly what they're getting and when. Budgeting and accountability. Pay raises and incentives must be tied to demonstrate results in citywide needs, not automatic increments. Implement performance benchmarks to include the city manager and provide independent oversight. Pause large, non-transparent deals until these processes are in place. And in regards to these flock cameras, 30 days sounds like trickery, smoke, and mirrors. What was the benefit, and is it really still needed? I specifically asked, what was the community attendance in 2023 when it was implemented? And my greatest point, was Legacy Taylor killed in Miami Chapel? And if so, why do we have so many unsolved homicides? And then, thank you, media, for being here tonight. We appreciate you, but I am asking, that you practice honest, transparent, and on-time news. Stop inciting fear. The recent coverage of the one day following Mayor Turner-Sloss's swearing in was intention, bias, and very critical with an intent to cause harm.
Thank you, Ms. Hastings.
I call to the podium Greg West.
Greg West, 1320 Kingsley Avenue. Good evening, City Manager, Mayor, and Commissioners.
Good evening.
I presented to you guys this initiative that we're putting together, and with us being awarded the contract and we have a concentrated zone that we'll be working in, doesn't mean that we can't get the whole city involved. We're trying to reduce violence and everything. I appreciate everybody who came up here and talked about all the incidents all across the world and everything. Let's use that same energy to try to, combat violence in our own community. So what we're presenting is this 5-point initiative for all of us against violence. It's a little pledge. It says, I pledge to take those affected by violence and amplify their voice. Number 2, support local organizations working to prevent violence and promote healing. Number 3, speak out against violence and activity and promote peaceful solutions. Number 4, engage in community events, initiatives, conversations that strengthen safety, unity, and trust. And number 5, help cultivate and acquire safe zones throughout the city where people can de-escalate, find support, and access peaceful mediation when conflicts arise. And we're just trying to get as many people in the community, business owners, organizations, churches, anybody to sign on to this so that we, as a community, can come together and combat violence instead of always looking for downtown to solve our issues that we have in our city. That's all I have. And for Commissioner Brave stands for building resilience against violent interactions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. West.
That is all, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. McClendon. Ms. Dickstein, do you have any closing comments?
I have none, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Dickstein. Ms. McClendon, do you have any closing comments?
I have none, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. McClendon. Commissioners, Commissioner Beckman.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. I just have a few. I'll be brief. First, I want to thank all the citizens for your comments and concerns this evening. Appreciate you being here. Second, I just want to reiterate my commitment for public safety in all of our city, all 65 neighborhoods and downtown, and very, very, very both committed and interested in making sure that the violence interruption program is long-term. I think that is vital, specifically as it relates to the areas of our city in which we have severe issues of violence. And last but not least, I want to thank the staff, the organization, specifically the commission staff led by Chief of Staff Ms. Jackson and Dayton Police Department for all of your hard work at Monday's swearing in. It was a long as well as a well-attended event, and we appreciate all of your support as well as just making sure that that went smoothly. I don't take it lightly sitting up here. It's an honor to serve, and I look forward to these next 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Beckman. Commissioner Fairchild?
Yes. Ms. Dickstein, can we, or maybe this is for Ms. Jackson, can we amend the agenda so that the supporting documents that came along with the ordinance around the downtown work group, can we add those on to this week's agenda so people can see those? Because I think there's a lot of there's a lack of knowledge about what those are. And can we do that? I think that would be helpful. And just to be mindful that it was a first reading this week, and so the second reading and the vote on it will be next week. So people have an opportunity to come and speak again next week. But hopefully you'll have more information and see the recommendations. And there's recommendations, and it directs the city to review the recommendations and then issue a report. And then we can take steps from there. So, there's when there's a vacuum of knowledge, a lot of things can fill that vacuum. And so I think,
Mayor, if I may,
Please.
Commissioner, you should say, I would like to enter those documents, initial documents, into the record for this meeting, and then Ms. Jackson has the legal wherewithal to put them in this
Okay.
meeting.
Then,
So say that.
yeah, thank you, Commissioner.
You're welcome. Yes.
I move to enter.
You don't have to move, just say it.
Please enter the documents from the Downtown Working Group into this evening's record. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Ms. Dickstein, can we get the date for the public hearing on the budget? I think that'd be helpful. I was trying to recall when that meeting is, but I think if we could start publicizing that, that'd be helpful. So if you get that and we could announce it next week at the meeting, I think that'll still give us some time for people to prepare, to review the budget and to be able to comment. Regarding the request for Venezuela, I will look at that and discuss with my colleagues. I know in the past there's been some concern with the City Commission that we lift up some international conflicts and concern for those and not others, and then what are the criteria we use. I had gotten to a place where I thought it might be prudent to have a moratorium on issuing informal resolutions on international conflicts. But I want to review this and look. I think there's also some concerns here around rule of law and others that may be important for us to address outside of the conflict. So I'm going to look at that seriously and talk with my colleagues. I want to echo Commissioner Beckham's gratitude to Ms. Jackson and the whole, and to Ms. Blackshear and the Commission office, the whole team. You were incredible hosts. You know, we invited the whole community in, and they came, and they came, and they came. But you all did a lot of work to make sure that we were good hosts. So thank you. I also want to thank the students from Meadowdale High School and Colonel Mason, who served as our color guards, Sergeant McGill and our Dayton Police Force, who helped work with them. So the night was well done, and the musicians from Stivers. And also Bishop Robert Lyons and Monty Bush, who came and participated as well. So thank you to everyone who made Monday evening a success. Also, belated thank you to the Dayton Police Department and the Dayton Fire Department. The Tuesday before Christmas, they came with 200 other agencies, vehicles to Dayton Children's. You cannot imagine the excitement and energy that place fills up with in anticipation of our first responders coming with their sirens and lights and Santa. And so, and it's not just the patients and families, but the employees. So it was actually the first time my schedule allowed me to be out there when they were there in full force. And you cannot, I encourage you, next year, watch for when that's going to occur. You can come out and find a spot along the Route 4 and take it in. It's a really joyous time for our Dayton Children's and the folks there. So thank you to our first responders. And then finally, I want to encourage folks, the Youth Power Hour begins this week, and it's designed for youth ages 10 to 17. The program provides an engaging, structured environment for participants to learn, grow, and develop new skills. And the classes are held on Tuesdays at 4 p.m. at Lori Center, and then Wednesdays at 5:15 at Princeton, and then Fridays at 5 p.m. at what I still call Roosevelt, but the Greater Dayton Rec Center. So encourage folks to, if you have a young person, encourage them to participate in that. Those are my comments.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Shaw.
All right, thank you for recognizing the emergency services that were there. It was awesome, and I sat out there this year to watch them just because I happened upon it last year. And it was at least twice as big this year as it was last year, and it is really something to see. I'm glad you said that.
But you gotta recognize it freaks people out who do not know what's going on. They come up there and see all those lights, and they're like,
"Well, it freaked me out the first time. I had to make calls. I'm like, is there a terrorist?"
The first thought is like something really bad is happening.
Right. That's exactly right. No, but it was awesome, and I'm so glad that you mentioned that. I meant to do that myself. Very briefly, this is just a workforce development initiative that I've been able to witness for a couple of decades now at least. The Montgomery County Job Center is accepting applications for YouthWorks. And I mean, this is just an outstanding program, and I would encourage everyone to get involved in that. Both young people and employers to take advantage of this service. Anyone 14 years or older living in Montgomery County and enrolled in middle or high school full-time can apply. YouthWorks offers many career-building services, including tutoring, work experience, and mentoring. And this is just a great opportunity for young Daytonians to get a head start on their future. For more information and the application, go to thejobcenter.org/youth. And apply for that. But this is just such a great opportunity, and now it's been expanded to really year-round. And there's just no way to quantify or qualify the benefits of taking advantage of this program. Similar to our apprenticeship programs, and again, the applications are on file at the commission office. So I just would encourage folks to spread the word about that great opportunity. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Joseph?
Thank you, Mayor. Two things. First, I want to congratulate our water department. They've received the National Groundwater Association's Groundwater Protection Project Award for the Multi-Jurisdictional Source Water Protection Program. That's the program that protects our drinking water, all of our drinking water. This award recognizes a long-standing partnership among the City of Dayton, neighboring cities, and public health for Montgomery County. Since 1988, this collaboration has worked to protect one of our region's most critical natural resources, the Great Miami Buried Valley. Great Miami Buried. I thought it was. The word order is different than I thought it would be. The Great Miami Buried Aquifer. Somebody threw valley in there, but in any case, you all know, you hear in the news every day about water wars, particularly in the West. We're particularly lucky here. We've been blessed with a huge aquifer of fresh water. We try not to take that for granted. We guard it judiciously. And I want to congratulate our water department for getting an award on how they're doing that. Keep up the good work. Another place where we need to make sure that we stay watchful all the time, watchful with water. Second thing, oh yeah. Congratulations, water. Thank you, audience. The second thing is, I'm glad Commissioner Fairchild made his remarks about Venezuela. We'll have to talk about this. We'll see. But I want to make it really clear where we stand. And I hope I speak for the commission. I think I probably do. We stand firmly on the side of peace, dialogue, and self-determination. I think that probably says it all. I saw a quote, and it's not mine. I wish it was mine, and I wish I would have paid more attention to where I read it, but it was a great quote. And it's talking about the people in Venezuela today. It said, you know, they're feeling like under the dictatorship, their society's been on fire. Their lives have been on fire. And they see somebody coming now with a hose. But we know who carries that hose, and it's not water, it's gasoline. So I thought that was just an excellent metaphor there. And we know there's no good intention there. So in any case, I want to put that out there. I think my colleagues probably agree with me. So whatever we decide procedurally, you all know how we feel. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. I would like to thank all my colleagues for their comments. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And you're absolutely right. Thank you for making mention of that. I got a couple of comments. I know it's been a long one, especially for my first meeting. I've been baptized by the fire this evening, but nonetheless, thank you all for coming out. And I do want to echo my colleagues' comments in regards to the staff. You all did an excellent job. Thank you, Ms. Jackson, Ms. Blackshear. There was a lot of shuffling, moving, a lot of pivots that were made, but you all, you persevered and you did an excellent job. So thank you to the entire commission staff. The police department, the honor guard, thank you very much, as well as to all of the City of Dayton staff members that came out Monday evening. Again, it was well attended, and most importantly, certainly not least, thank you to all of the residents that came out on Monday night, as well as the Kroc Center, Dayton Kroc Center. They were gracious hosts to us all, Meadowdale, as well as the Stiver School for the Arts Orchestra. So again, that means you all have to come back for the State of the City. We had that address. But again, I just wanted to make mention of all of the great work that the staff carried out. Thank you to all of the residents that came out this evening and voicing your concern, airing your grievances. I think this was a great meeting in terms of a number of the concerns that we have, and we definitely have some work to do, and all of us are committed to doing that work. So thank you, Commissioner Joseph and Commissioner Fairchild, for leading the charge in regards to the informal resolution and taking a look closely at that, and your commitment to Public Safety Commissioner Beckham. And so we'll be working very closely, all of us, in terms of what we're going to move forward in that framework that has been identified for downtown, but we're going to move that out into the neighborhoods. And Ms. Gemeiner made mention of the community engagement reform committee. Thank you for raising that point, and we are definitely going to have conversations as to how we can increase the participation. And so Ms. Jackson and I, we have already made a commitment to do that work, so thank you for bringing that to our attention. A couple of other things. We do have a request, and that we are moving forward on in regards to that request that was made by Ms. Hastings. We are in the review of doing an audit, if you will, of contracts that were approved of $50,000 or less. So that is something that we are diligently working on, and we will have that report available. And that is something that we have requested. And I would also like to make mention of a few other things. There is, in fact, a interfaith and community leaders prayer breakfast that is taking place on Friday. Now, you do have to RSVP. There are only 150 slots, so please, if your schedule allows you to join us, it will be the first annual Interfaith Prayer Breakfast, Community Leader Prayer Breakfast. That's Friday, the 9th of January. It's from 8:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. at St. Clair Community College, the Charity Early Room. So again, that is, the invitation is extended to all, but not beyond 150. And then I also want to make mention of just paying homage and keeping Bishop Lyons Jr. uplifted in prayer in the passing of his father, as well as to the Strayhorn family, Mr. Barry Strayhorn, who did some great work in the city of Dayton. He was a part of Miami Valley Community Action Partnership weatherization community and a program that is for a number of years. I believe it was a total of 15 years. So we want to, again, keep the Strayhorn and the Lyons family uplifted in prayer. Again, Bishop Lyons Jr. lost his father, Bishop Lyons Sr., so we keep them uplifted in prayer. And thank you, Ms. Jackson. Couple of things, one more thing that I would like to highlight. Last thing, and that is the $2.6 million that you all, the voters, actually it's 2.5, I do believe, and that was with the issue 6 renewal and the funding for the Dayton Home Repair Revolving Loan Program, which launched earlier this year, and over the next 3 years, it will support about 80 owner-occupied homes, as well as small multi-family properties beginning in Madden Hills, Fairview, Dayton, View Triangle, Wolf Creek, and citywide. It will be expanded out to citywide in 2026, and loans are available for households at 80 to 120% area median income. And if you're interested in that program, then we encourage you to reach out to County Corp for more information. And that information is, in fact, available on the City of Dayton's website. So with no further business before the commission, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.